What's up, guys? This is Jakob. I'm Content AI Manager and helping entrepreneurs around the world with their content strategy using AI technology to produce fast and easier content for your business so that you can scale and reach more clients around the globe. Welcome to a new session of the Content AI Show where I speak with experts around the world about artificial intelligence. And I'm very excited to speak today with Olivier Gomez, or also OG, which is his a short version of his name, and he's CEO and co-founder of I just look it up, IAC. And we are going to speak about intelligent automation, which is a huge topic within the AI space. And first of all, welcome, Olivier. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on that show. I'm quite excited. Thank you.
Yeah, that's really cool that you have the time. We chatted a while ago, but now I'm excited to speak today with you. Can you introduce yourself? So, who are you and what exactly are you doing?
Yes. So my name is Olivier Gomez, based in France. People call me OG. I am an expert in what people now they call intelligent automation, which is in a nutshell a combination of automation and AI. So a robot, the leg and the arm, and AI, which is the brain. You combine everything, you get some very interesting opportunities to make a difference. I have a very long history in that space. I've been doing that for many, many years, and I now have a company called IAC, and we are a service company, and we are helping large corporation to achieve results. One main key differentiator is for myself is that I am typically what we call technology agnostic, which means that I don't like too much to talk about the technology. I believe that comes at the end. I like to talk about the business impact. I like to talk about the outcome, and I like to talk about what it means from a business angle to use those technologies. So I typically focus on this, and one of my specialty is to sign what we call outcome-based contract with clients, which means that we are committing on results.
Nice. That's very self-confident. I like it. It's like in the content space, performance marketing that you define some results that you want to achieve for your clients,
Hmm.
and you're confident enough to say, okay, you pay us when we get these results.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Exactly.
And yeah, sorry.
No, I can even explain why we are going there. So again, this market, this intelligent automation market, again, as we call it today, is a market that exists for quite a while now. And I understand that at the beginning, when there is disruption, when there is new technologies, people are not comfortable with those technologies, and they typically like to play with those technologies because they don't really know what those technologies will do. This is what we call the innovation phase, where you do a lot of proof of concept, proof of value, you do small projects. Now we are reaching a point where we have enough maturity where we can start looking at things differently, which means number one, we need scale. We need to do that at scale across an entire organization, across an entire industry, which is starting to be the case left and right. Number two, we have enough experience because we have done it many times to basically be able to commit on result, because we have done many what I call use cases or cases for a given process, a given department, a given industry, using a certain set of technology. So the confidence level is raising, and it's normal that as we raise our confidence level, we start what I call de-risking the client, which means instead of having the client taking all the risk, now the provider can start taking some of that risk. We can share the risk, and we can establish a win-win. So again, it is a totally normal evolution of that space where we are away from the innovation phase into the maturity phase, and it's totally normal that we are able to start signing let's say outcome based, which is basically commitment on result.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I love it. It makes totally sense for me, and you make it easy for the client to work with you. That's another way to say it. So, but
Yes.
before we speak about, I mean, I'm interested in the results or maybe also the use cases when you have some that you can share. But can
Mhm.
we go one step uh, back, and can you explain? So, automation and AI. So, where exactly? I mean, when I'm using AI technology, it's not like that I'm directly thinking, okay, that's also automation. It's so where exactly is the connection between AI and automation? Can you explain that one?
Yes, yes, for sure. So first of all, here we talk about automation in a sense of software automation, right? Because people are sometimes considering automation is robots, right? Like physical
Mhm.
robots. That transformation of using physical machine to automate activity, this is already done. You are German, you can go to BMW, you can look at how they build car. You enter the factory line, there's no one touching a car, it's only machines all the
Yes.
way, right? And the humans are behind the machines, making sure the machines are doing the job. So this, what we are discussing here, is obviously software automation. How do we use technology to automate what a white collar, so an engineer or someone using a PC is doing? Starting from the very basic copy and paste, building a report, filling up a form, to more advanced business processes, more complex business processes. That's the automation.
Mhm.
Uh, the problem with pure automation is that it is able to take action to interact with system, and there's multiple technology for that. There's different ways to integrate using API, or using technology like RPA. uh, you can build a fairly complex flow of action to automate a very complex process, but the problem with that is that there's no brain, there's no intelligence, at least by default. Okay, so obviously we started a long time ago doing very basic, automation that does not require a lot of intelligence. But now we are reaching a point where we need some decision to be made, and we need intelligence to be added into the flow so that we can do more. So that's where the obvious evolution of automation, which is I take a flow of action. I'm starting to add some brain to it so I can do more. So that's the concept of intelligent automation. How can I leverage AI into an automation flow so I can make that flow, let's say, smarter, more robust, and I can do more, right? So that's the idea here. Um, if I want to be more tangible and to articulate and explain what it means, very simple. when when you have an automation project, there's typically three phases that you are running through, and for each of those phases you can use AI to do it better, do it faster, do it with more quality, and sometimes do it cheaper. The first phase is what we call discovery, which is where you analyze the environment to understand where you want to apply the automation. Where is the opportunity? Where is the biggest opportunity? Where are you going to have the best return on your investment? So you analyze a department or a company or a process, something that is significant and complex. There, you typically collect data. Sometimes you even generate data using process mining, test mining technology, and you end up with a lot of data. And those data are typically highly unstructured. So there, you need to use AI to basically clean and structure the data and then make sense of the data, right? So there's a whole bunch of technique to help the discovery and very accurately identify where do you want to automate, because this is where you're going to have the best return on your investment. Then when you
Mhm.
build automation, you build a solution there. Obviously, in your flow of action, there's a number of situations where you have to take decision, and there you need AI. That's a generic term, but without going into the details, you need help to make some decision based on a set of data, so that you can basically avoid asking a human to make very simple decision when you have enough confidence that your AI can make the decision. If you have a certain level of accuracy, you can process with the flow without having to interrupt the flow and ask a human to step in. And then the last phase, so again, discovery, building, testing, and deploying the solution. And then the last phase is what we call automation ops, which is running the automation. Because once you have automated something, you don't want this to go down. Here, you can use AI to do a number of things, including monitoring the automation to make sure that it does not go down, and using things like what we call AI ops, which is to almost be able to predict when something will go down so that you can fix it before it goes down. So this is how we use AI in the automation space.
Nice. I mean, it's fascinating, right? I mean, you're so long already in this space. What changed since the last years, in your opinion? So where do you see the most the most progress when it comes to automation and AI? Where do we see it?
Yes. So everything changed. If I look at when it started, so the most let's say visible area of automation is called RPA, robotic process automation. I remember I started to work on RPA back in 2014. So that's a long while ago. So very simply, from a non-technical standpoint, what has evolved the most is the mindset. Let me explain. People are now not afraid anymore of the technology, because the
Okay.
first thing that typically happens when you introduce a technology, especially automation, is that, oh, I'm going to lose my job. So
Mhm.
obviously we are past that. People understand that it is actually disrupting the job market, but it's not killing it. It's actually removing a whole bunch of things that we used to do that we didn't like to do, and it's actually creating a whole bunch of opportunity that people like to do. Same as instead of building a car and welding manually, now I am behind managing a bunch of robots. Obviously that requires upskilling. So with new opportunity, there's a whole bunch of people that need to upskill in order to be able to take advantage of this opportunity. So mindset has evolved a lot. Number two, expectation. So let me explain. Before, you would have your CFO giving you $500,000 to play with the technology and to discover, and you would have fun, and yeah, it's cool. We are not in the cool anymore. We are in the, now I need to use that seriously, because if I don't use it seriously and at scale, and I don't improve my P&L, top of the P&L by improving quality, customer satisfaction, speed, or bottom of the P&L by improving the cost, I need to make a difference using those technology, because everyone else is very serious about this. And now I cannot play anymore. I have to get results. So the expectation is that the CFO is starting to look at this and say, I need this to make a difference, on my P&L. Okay, so those are the two main things. And then obviously technology is evolving every day. There's a new startup doing something new. The ecosystem is extremely, big. There's many areas. There's chatbot, there's intelligent document processing, there's RPA, there's AI, ML algorithm. There's new things every day. It's a very large, very rich ecosystem, which is very good news, because it means that you can find anything everywhere. But it's also kind of bad news for the buyer, because the complexity level and understanding that ecosystem is becoming extremely, let's say, difficult.
Yeah, exactly. So I see it. So I have also the same experience. I mean, I'm not coding, so I'm very open to technology. So, and I can use AI, content producing software, to make my life easier. And I think in every niche there are some tools that employees, that entrepreneurs can use for their own life, because it's. I mean, we are in this no code or low code space, where you don't need code experience. You can do this all. If you can use Facebook or LinkedIn, in my experience, you can also use these kind of tools. So in my case, at least.
Yes, when you are in I'd say as an end user or in a B2C type of situation, that totally applies. When you are in a at an enterprise scale level, let's say you are running a multi-billion dollar business process, and you are in a B2B type of situation, then I would say if you really want to do very serious stuff,
Yeah.
then obviously coding is required, done by your IT department, not by an under the desk someone who is playing with technology. So I
Yeah.
would say it has evolved so that there's actually low code, no code, let's say, opportunity option tools, but there's also more, I would say, enterprise grade type of implementation that obviously required at the bare minimum integration, if not development.
Yeah. You mentioned something very interesting when it comes to the so the mindset change you said, and one thing that people always combine with AI is this, I will be out of business. Are there other misconceptions in your opinion that you saw in the last years that you would love to tackle and solve or bring arguments why this is not true? So misconceptions about AI or automation or both,
Mhm.
other than I will be out of my job. Do you have something?
So there's this is this is very typical with technology, but even more with AI. The people are, I would say, largely current state, right? Largely overestimating what the technology can do, and then long state largely underestimating what the
Yeah.
technology will be doing. So
Okay.
if we stick to today and we don't look at the future, today AI is capable of doing amazing things, processing very large amount of data that a human brain cannot do. But at the same time, the AI is not what people think, which is that smart stuff that is smarter than you, right? What we call AGI, let's say the pure general intelligence, which is something that you can compare to the human brain, that does not exist. Okay, so people think that AI is extremely capable of doing very complex and very smart stuff. To some extent, it has amazing capability, but it's not very smart. Okay, it's more like if you have a 2 years old child, not a grown adult, right? So the point here is when you look at what AI is able to do today, people don't understand that, but the need for what we call supervised AI, which is a human having to go in the system and help AI, along the way. So people think that this AI is this amazing, when you watch movie, this is what AI
Yeah.
is, but in reality, most of the time it is a supervised learning situation where you have to go and I would say babysit the algorithm to make sure that it deliver result, right? So the learning has to be done by a human because the AI is not yet smart enough. It will be the case in many years, but today this is where we are, right? So this is the number one misconception that I hear when I talk to people that are not expert, is that they largely overestimate what AI can do today.
Okay, got it. Cool. And when you look back on your story, was there one defining or different defining moments when you realized, okay, this AI or this automation stuff, I have to put all my energy into this. I have to become an expert in this area. Was there one defining moment? Was it a movie or was it an experience, something that you had in the past?
Yes, 100%. So if you look at the wave starting from the 80s, uh, most of the businesses, they are always looking for efficiency improvement.
Hmm.
And the trick that we saw uh, till I would say 2010 was I am going to do everything I can to optimize the cost of my resources So people started to do a number of things, and the biggest, most visible wave was what we call offshoring. Okay, people started to, let's say, move someone from, let's say, Germany to India, and you know what happened with all that, and that was the way for most of the business to basically optimize their cost of workforce, you know, for many, many, many years. And the point here is, when in the past, when you were trying to use technology to improve the efficiency of a given operation, it was not really making sense, because it was way easier to play with, let's say, the other levers, like offshoring and many others. Lean, for example, was another one. But when we started to reach a point where the offshoring was at the end, when the lean was at the end, or at least when most of those low hanging fruits were already captured, I clearly saw that technology was going to become the only option for the business to deliver their 10% year on year efficiency gain, which is a typical expectation for a business. So this is when I realized, okay, people are still in the offshoring mindset, in the outsourcing mindset, in the nearshoring mindset, but this is going to die. Not because it's not useful, but because we have basically maximized this opportunity, and people are going to switch to technology. So that's when I personally switch away, and I was one of the early adopter of the technology to use. And at the beginning, we had some conflict between the multiple options, but nowadays, obviously, technology is the number one way to make things better, and it's not using some sort of offshoring, right? So anymore, because that's basically a given nowadays. So that time, at the end of the offshoring wave and the beginning of the technology wave, this is when I saw that things is great. Things will shift massively, and this is obviously what's happening.
Yeah, very smart, very good. I like it. And yeah, love it. That's cool. And but was there? I mean, this is in technology in general. But was there something where you said, okay, AI and automation is my thing? Was it was there
It did,
for something
yes.
specific?
Yes, so let me, yeah, so it never, the end picture is never clear. So the first, the first people doing automation, I would say, they did not know they were doing automation. They used to call it, scripting. I'm scripting.
Okay.
I'm scripting, and there's very famous examples of people many, many years ago, even before we talked about automation as a category, who managed to script a lot of their job. And there's very famous engineer, developer, who managed to script their entire job, and where the employer did not even realize that this was happening. This was many, many years ago. People did not call it automation. So the point here is, you don't really foresee what's going to happen in the future. When you start something, it's going to morph and evolve, and there's multiple iteration of it. But there's always been, because of the nature of human, people are, uh, I would say, there's a part in people that is lazy. People like to do things easy.
Yeah.
They like to find, the less resistant path. So if you ask me to do something, and I can find a way so I can get it done, we call it lazy smart, right? So I can get it done without working too much. I'm going to find that way. So this is basically it's in the human nature to automate, so that you don't have to do the work yourself, right? It's and so we started with scripting, and then we got smarter, and then we started to have some tools, more advanced tools, and then we went into using a bit of intelligence, getting the data, understanding the data, applying a few flow of actions, starting to do some integration, and then it became what it is right now, which is a monster of an ecosystem where you can do pretty much everything with it.
Yeah, makes totally sense. Yeah, never saw it that way. Yeah, yeah. When you explained it, I remembered. I don't know from my school time. My math teacher told the story of a famous math
Hmm.
professor or something from the Greeks who invented one way how to do things easier. And just remember, I was bad in math, so I can't remember the name. But I just remembered me when you told the story now. Okay, got it. Yeah, it makes totally sense. Yeah, yeah. That's yeah. Yes, I like it. So maybe let's talk about your company. So you already spoke about this result thinking, this
Hmm.
result oriented mindset.
Hmm.
Can you maybe give us some examples of clients? You don't have to mention names, but where was the what was the problem, and how was automation included, and what results did they get?
Yes, I can certainly do that. Um, so first of all, what is important to understand is that when you look at large company nowadays, I'm not going to go into the SMBs because it's still ramping up, and but the large company, Fortune 2000, Fortune 3000, let's say $500 million revenue plus. Uh, I can tell you that there's at least one person, at least one, which will be in that case the CTO. But there's probably already a whole bunch of people looking at automation as a full-time job today. Okay, so this is not something that you have to introduce as a new magic ID that will change the world. People know that if they don't do that, they're going to be out of business at some point. You know, that's just the way it is. It is the nature. You have to use technology to be more efficient. That's just the way it is. Now, when we work with the client, they typically have a number of problems that we can help them with. Um, Number one, they know that they have to do automation, and they are doing automation, but they have some difficulty to see the bigger picture. They have difficulty to basically scale their automation. They have what we call a COE, a center of excellence, center of expertise. So they have a bunch of people that are totally capable to build the automation, but they have difficulty to have a holistic end-to-end view of their environment and to basically say, okay, strategically, I'm going to automate this activity in my finance department and that activity in my HR department. And here in IT, I'm going to change that. This is very difficult. Why is it difficult? Because the data is typically not available in a form that a client can, really make sense of it. I'm saying some clients are totally self-sufficient and they can do that, but many clients have difficulty to get access to the data. Even sometimes we have to create the data. So we have to probe, analyze, create data, and then assess the data so we can really have a digital blueprint of what's happening there so we can exactly know what to do. So that's problem number one. This is very difficult to do. You need some, AI. So what we call data science. You need some data science capability in order to understand the environment and really be able to build a pipeline of here is what needs to be done in order to automate. That's something that we typically do for clients. In our case, we even do that for free when it makes sense because we know that out of the out of the data science work, we're gonna have a very good, very compelling business case to share with the client with a very high level of confidence that we can deliver against that business case. And typically we end up signing with the client. So this is one area. Now, if I take the typical situation, a typical large company has in-house capability, and they typically have already at least one service provider that they work with, a large service provider. Okay, now the situation is that if you really want to automate, you are going to introduce some disruption in the operation, and you are going to so some changes, and that might also have an impact on the nature of the contract that you have with your service provider. So let me explain. You have a certain process that you want to automate, and you believe that this process can be automated and you can achieve a 30%, a 40% efficiency gain. Okay, so internal, it is typically very difficult for people that are because they are too close to the wall, they cannot see the
Yeah.
wall, right?
Yes.
So it's not that they are not capable of doing it, it's just that you need a little bit of distance. So sometimes the
Mhm.
people inside are stuck, and then the external provider is typically not correctly incentivized to automate. I explain. If I automate this, then maybe I'm going to make less money, because guess what?
Mhm.
My contract with you is a times and material. I need to push as many people as possible. Or my contract with you is transactional. You pay me by volume. If I automate, there's less volume coming to me, I'm going to make less money. So large clients are in a situation where internally it's difficult to, initiate the disruption, and externally they are typically stuck in a contract where there's no way to incentivize the partner to correctly automate. So when we come in as a free electron, as a third, a third player here, we are pure player, we focus on this. As I said, we even commit on results, so we sign outcome based, and we basically say, we pinpoint, this is what you need to automate, this is what it will give you, we're going to solution it this way, leveraging your investment, and we are going to deliver 10, 20, 30, 40% efficiency gain on that department. And suddenly, our sole focus is just to do this. We are extremely laser focused, we are specialists, that's all we do. And then the client can rely on us. And obviously, the client is very happy that someone is incentivized to automate, versus the other relationship they have with the other provider that are not truly incentivized to do so. So practically, we have done that many times, and we have disrupted, many environment, and we have delivered actual savings, tangible savings, dollars. And we even have situation where we have signed what we call a gain share agreement, meaning you only pay us if you make savings. And if you make savings, we will share the savings that you are making. Right? That's the level of confidence that we can have. Not all the time, not everywhere, but
Yeah.
when we see that we are going to deliver odd savings, we are even willing to go into gain share. You don't save money, you don't pay us.
I mean, yeah, I like this. I like this idea. That's cool. And what kind of client? So, which industry? Which niche? Which vertical?
Yes. So the typical, there's industries that are more automation friendly than
Hmm.
others,
Sure.
because of the nature of what they do, because of the fact that everything is already digitized, the data is fairly structured because of the tool they use. So, for example, banking is a place where everyone is rushing, because I don't want to say it's easy, but there is a lot of prerequisites already in place. Okay. um, the way I look at it is, obviously you need to have industry expertise to be able to apply the technology in a given environment. But
Hmm.
what I want to add here is, I see it as a matrix, right? So you have the different industries that you're gonna go tackle, and then you have the main business processes that are going to be existing across any industry. I give you an example. The way we look at it when we enter a company is, we look at the departments, and we typically look at the IT departments, the HR departments, the finance department, and then the operations/supply chain department. No matter what industry you are in, you are always going to have those departments. And no matter what industry you are in, if you are doing HR and you have a certain level of attrition, meaning every year you lose a certain number of people, 5% attrition on 50,000 people, that is a lot of employee onboarding that you have to do, a lot.
Exactly.
So that is typically something that needs, of course the tool will be different, the company value, vision, process will be different, but automating employee onboarding in an HR department is something that needs to be done everywhere. So this is how we look at it, right? If I take finance, and you have to basically process the invoices, and you have to chase the clients that are not paying the bill, and potentially shut them down because they did not pay the bill, and you shut down the service. All of those are things that you are going to do, no matter if you are in a transportation industry, in a pharmaceutical industry, or in whatever else industry, right? So this is really the way I look at it, is that they are must do, no matter what the industry you are in. And this is typically what we help the client. And this is why also we have a high level of confidence, because if you have done employee onboarding automation 50 times across 10 different
Yes.
industry, your confidence level that you can do it another time, no matter what the ecosystem is, even if
Yeah.
it requires some customization, is very high.
Yeah, yeah, got it totally. I have a friend, and he's also a client, and he's in the no code area. And one thing that he built was the onboarding and contract creation, and he automated this the software the I mean the contract looks all the time the same. I mean the names are changing, and this is something that you can automate so that people are, when they onboard, they type in their name, the address, and then this is the PDF is created and sent automatically to the new
Yes.
employee. These are things that you can use and implement, and once done, it's done. And yeah, and it makes totally sense. Yeah, I never thought about that. That there are, so you're looking basically to processes in different departments, which are, I mean, every company has to do these things.
Exactly.
That's what you're looking for. Okay, got it.
Yes, exactly.
That's cool.
And again, the implementation might be, so for example, processing an invoice. Okay, you get a PDF. You can
Hmm.
apply some technology to understand the PDF, but sometimes, the company is not even receiving a PDF. They are receiving a piece of paper. And now what? But there's technology for that. You can basically digitize an OCR and then NLP the data, which means you take a piece of paper, you turn it into a digital piece of paper, then you understand it, and then if there is language in it, you have also another modules. Think about modules. You can apply all those modules, and when you are stuck because there's yet a new problem, oh, I did not understand that this was paper. I thought it would be digital. No problem. We can digitize, right? So
Hmm.
the thing here is you can adapt because again, the modules or the tools in your toolbox is getting every day bigger and better,
Yeah,
thanks to
yeah,
this very active ecosystem of companies.
yeah. So, what is the big vision for your company? So, where do you see IAC in 3 years, 5 years?
Yeah. So in terms of the service business, right? What I want to do, my mission here is, and this is consistent with what I've been doing, for so many years, is to disrupt how we do business with the client and to start again de-risking the client, meaning introducing a default expectation by the client that they don't have to take all the risk when they do technology project. And I want to force the service provider to take a close look at themselves in the mirror and understand that they cannot be afraid of taking risk. I know what it means in terms of cash flow, for example. If you have to run a project for a large client for 6 months and you have to pay people and you don't get paid, obviously your cash flow is going to be heavily impacted. But I want people to understand that this industry is not an industry that requires the client to take all the risk. And my mission is to obviously offer that to the client, because not everywhere, not all the time, but when my confidence level is high enough, I want to go there. I think this is something that can be win-win, because I know based on what I do today that it is win-win. But I also want the other service provider to wake up, even the large one. The larger they are, the less risk they want to take, and I want them to realize that it is now time to change the rule of the game. Really important.
Yeah, love it. I mean, yeah, this whole risk. I mean, I speak with so many people, but this is not something that I hear all the time. I heard it the first time from Jay Abraham, who's a business mentor, who's the business mentor of Tony Robbins. And but you're not talking about it. You're executing it, which is more important, and that's really something that I like. Awesome. You, because we're running a little bit out of time. I don't know your schedule. So you mentioned one book. that if people are interested intelligent automation, maybe you can also show it again into the camera so that people can see it. Um, can you maybe share one or two theses from the book that you think are important? I mean, basically, use automation for your business, but other than that, so the practical how to do it, or can you give suggestions? What is important, or what should people have in mind when they think about automation for their own business?
Hmm. Yeah. So again, it's not my book. It's a book written by Pascal Bornet. That's I consider this is the reference book in the industry. So Pascal is working with us and helping us, and this is a very very important book. As you can see, it's I have utilized it a lot. It
Yeah.
is it is really setting the framework. The good thing with this is that this is not a book for highly technical people. This is a book that will explain what intelligent automation is. Again, automation plus AI, and what does that do, on a daily basis for our life as human. I think what is really important with this book is to understand that uh, the key aspect of automation is not the technology; it
Mhm.
is the people.
Mhm.
The reason why automation is going to succeed or is going to fail is not because you are using the right tool. I would even go further. I don't care what tool you are using. I know people fall in love with technology and they fall in love with a very, very specific tool. But in reality, if you are going to do automation, it's all about people. It's all about, having the right people around you to advise you, but also having the people inside your company to evolve, upskill, and change the mindset. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have many, many situation and many, many example where things are not going the way it should, and it's rarely because of the technology. It's most of the time because we did not manage the people correctly, right? So again, this is a very, very important point. What's nice about this book is that it has three. Again, I'm selling the book. It's not mine, but it has three different things, three different parts. One is it explain very practically. It's giving a example of how we can use the technology to make our life better as human. It's showing example of how we can save life using, it's not just about money. It's about how you can disrupt the society using the technology in a good way. The second part is giving very interesting methodology of how you are supposed to run an automation initiative in your environment. It's giving framework, it's giving methodology, it's giving standards. And then the last part is a collection of use cases, about 500 different use cases, which are practical example of how we are using the technology to deliver something tangible and to make a difference. So I highly encourage people who want to learn about this topic of how do I do automation and AI together to buy and read this book. Again, we as a company are are using a lot of the key foundation of the book to run our business, and I can only advise you guys to look at it and read it.
Yeah. Yeah. So the first thing that you mentioned, I mean, this is really speaking from my heart. So we also have, so the number one reason why change or transformation is failing in companies is because people are not onboarded, because they think this is stupid, this doesn't work, I will be out of my business, out of my job, things like that. They have all these things in their head, these misconceptions that we also spoke about. And if you don't work on these things and train the people because AI and automation, at the end of the day, it's a tool that you have to use and integrate into your daily life that helps you to create some space for yourself, some more free time, and where you can focus on other things, on the main things. That's also what I believe in. And that's, I mean, what you said, it just makes
Yes,
so much sense for me. Yeah.
and and I think that all those uh, change management experts, there's people who are really good at managing a change inside an environment. Those people are absolutely required, in any implementation of technology that will disrupt the operating model of a company. So it's really good news for change management expert. They're gonna have plenty of work, in the coming years, because they are absolutely critical in success of this type of project.
Yeah, definitely. It was really a pleasure, Olivier, to speak with you. If people want to find more about you or want to work with you, where should they go?
Yes, so they can find me on LinkedIn. They can drop me a mail, olivier@iac.ai, and then they can visit the website iac.ai.
Okay, cool. That's yeah, that makes sense. Okay, cool. Something last to share with the community, and to wrap this up.
No, I think your show is really cool. I think this is really, really important to spend time and democratize the AI, and not only talk about it with geeks, to make it like a geeky community where we go into very deep details. It's really important that we democratize this, because again, I want everyone to embrace the technology and understand, what it does for them in a good way, right? So I'm very glad that you are running this show. I'm very glad that we are openly speaking about all those things. And again, if you guys are interested and want to know more about the intelligent automation, just drop me a mail. I would be happy to
Awesome.
to help you guys.
Yes, awesome. So Olivier, please stay in line. I'm just wrapping this up. So thank you for all listeners. If there are any questions, please let us know in the comment section. There was one Turkish. I have a Turkish background. I have one Turkish comment to wow, this show is cool. But other than that, if there are questions, just let us know, and I will let Olivier know, and I'm sure he will answer the questions. So
Yes.
Thank you for listening and watching, and see you next time. Thank you, and bye.
Thank you.